Hey everybody, Coach Mel here. Welcome to the MelFit podcast, where we talk all things health, fitness, and lifestyle. I am Coach Mel, an online health and fitness expert with over 20 years of experience. It's May 20th, 2022. Friday. We are in Idaho. If you're watching this from somewhere else in the world, it's been a crazy spring here. We set a record in April of having the coldest April on record. Now we're setting a record for the latest day of having a high of 70 degrees, right, Josh? We have not hit 70 once. Ay, Dios mío. But anyways, we're getting there. So I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for tuning in. The podcast, I tried to make about 40 minutes to an hour so that you can go for a walk or go for a run or get on your bike or whatever. Get some exercise while you listen up. So the title of today's podcast is going to be 8 ways to gauge progress besides the scale. So, first and foremost, I think that the scale cannot be your ride or die, and I'm going to educate you guys as to why the scale cannot be your ride or die. I spoke about this in my Facebook Live, so if you listen to that, if you're on my MelFit Connect group, you may hear a couple things over, but it's good information and it needs to be like ingrained in your brain. And the one thing that I always tell people is we're made up of almost 80% water. And how I know that is, well, it's a fact. And I have an in-body scale. These scales range between $6,000 to $10,000. They give your overall body composition rather than just you weigh this today and that defines everything about you. So it actually tells you if you're in a healthy body fat range and a healthy muscle range and how much water you are carrying. So I always give the analogy of, so what is your body made up of? You're made up of water, muscle, bones, skin, teeth, and body fat, okay? So your weight is comprised of all of those things, okay? So a good example to think about as far as how much your body can fluctuate in water weight is the scenario of an MMA fighter or a wrestler. Maybe you're a wrestler or you grew up around a wrestler and you remember whenever they were getting ready for a fight, their walk around weight may have been like 165, but they were going to fight at 145. Let's say 150. Okay, let's say 150. So they are trying to cut 15 pounds of weight. But essentially, they're only cutting water weight so that they can weigh in at 150. So how do they do this? They manipulate their water they stop drinking water, which dehydrates them. They put on the special suits and they will sit in a sauna. They will run on the treadmill. They will, what else do they do, Josh? Hot tub? Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Lots of blankets.
Okay, blankets, and obviously probably not eating. I mean, you'll see YouTubes where people will be in a hotel room, like trying to, at the last minute make the weigh-in. So they get on the scale. When you dehydrate yourself, a lot of bodybuilders will do this, manipulate water so that their abs will pop more. You'll start to cramp like really bad. So a lot of times when these people are getting on stage to weigh in, you can tell that they're really weak. They'll get on the scale, they'll hit the goal. Somebody will be standing there right away, handing them like a Gatorade or something. And then after that, quickly after that, as soon as they start taking in liquids and taking in nutrition, they're going to hydrate right back up. So they may weigh in at 150, but they're going to fight at, what do you think, Josh? Pretty close to what they weigh.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be down a little bit, but so that is first and foremost what you all need to realize, okay? So what if you're not an MMA fighter? What if you're, just a normal person that's not getting into this extreme water cut? So for us, what affects our weight are a few things. We're going to go over those first. Then we'll go over the 8 ways to gauge progress. But for us, what makes the scale weight go up because we're hydrated will make the scale higher. There's nothing wrong with being hydrated, okay? Eating food will make the scale go up. And that's why I always say what goes in must go out. If your body's not absorbing food, if you're becoming insulin resistant, if you're having digestive problems and not eliminating, that's going to cause the scale to go up, okay? Menstrual cycle for women, I mean, I say 3 to 5 pounds. I've heard 3 to 6 pounds from other health and fitness experts, but yeah, generally, again, what goes in must come out, okay? You're sloughing off for your menstrual cycle, okay? So that has to go somewhere. That has to weigh something. So you'll tend to be 3 to 5 pounds heavier before you start your cycle, and on your cycle you'll feel like just horrible and just bloated. Then after your cycle, generally everything kind of goes back down, okay? So another thing that's going to affect the scale and the way you feel as far as being bloated is salt, okay? I talked about this on my Facebook Live. There hasn't been one person on Melfit that's told me I can't have salt. If you're eating whole foods that you're making, and generally almost everything that you use is not coming out of a box or a can or is frozen, you're going to be fine. Even the healthiest frozen meals, i.e. the Weight Watchers meals, healthy choice meals, if you turn the package over, they're just full of sodium, okay? So a lot of what is coming up on the scale, if you're eating processed foods that are high in sodium, that is what you're retaining, okay? So just remember every time you get on the scale, and a lot of people are obsessed with the scale. You weigh yourself in the morning and then you weigh yourself at night and you're heavier. Well, of course you're heavier. You've drank 3 32-ounce bottles of water, a coffee, a cup of tea, kombucha, and you've eaten 3 meals, a snack, and a dessert. Like, put all that on a scale. Yes, it weighs something, but your body's job is to use the food as fuel and excrete anything that is not needed. But when you're consuming a high calorie, high fat, processed diet, your body has no choice. It's not going to use that stuff. It doesn't know what that stuff is. It recognizes an apple, an orange. It doesn't recognize whatever crap you're putting in your body that has a list of ingredients this long, okay? So that is how body fat gain starts. Is, you've got all of your food out on the table and all your beverages out on the table, and you live a sedentary lifestyle. Like, where did you expect it to go? Like, you have to be walking, you have to be working out, you have to be strength training, you have to be moving your body, or of course you're taking in more than your body needs. How do you know how much your body needs? Well, a good rule of thumb to start with, and then you can get more technical, is you really shouldn't eat much less than your basal metabolic rate. And then anything on top of that would be your movement. So if your basal metabolic rate, which are your resting calories, if you just laid in bed all day, that's your basal metabolic rate. What your body needs to keep you alive, okay? So let's just say your basal metabolic rate is 1,500 calories. If you burn 500 calories and you eat 2,000, then your basal metabolic rate plus your burn minus what you eat, it's going to be the same. There's no deficit there, so that's what we call maintenance. So it's going to keep you in maintenance, okay? So if you want a deficit and you burned 2,000, you would want to eat 1,500. I don't recommend more of a 700 calorie a day deficit from what you burn and what you eat. Anything higher than that, your body is going to think you're starving it, and it's going to hold on to body fat. And a person that could tell you this firsthand is my digital media assistant, Josh. Right, Josh?
Yep.
So it's really a hard one to really drive home with people, that you actually have to eat to lose. 99.9% of the people I'm working with aren't eating enough, and they can't figure out why. Week after week after week, it's the same song and dance. When and only when you feed your body enough calories will it let go of the body fat. Okay, so I think another one I was going to put in here, I'm going to write this on my list too. Another thing that can cause the scale to rise is stress, and stress raises your cortisol levels, and stress is a silent killer. If you can't manage your stress, first and foremost, it's really hard to lose weight. The cortisol stress hormone, it's basically like, the best way to describe it is you're just constantly in a state of inflammation. So Melfit is an anti-inflammatory meal plan. We don't do gluten, although we allow sourdough because it's fermented, dairy or processed sugar. So a lot of people realize after eating on Melfit, wow, maybe I didn't really see a ton of weight on the scale. Not that we haven't lost hundreds of pounds on Melfit, but what I'm really seeing is like I'm not as inflamed, and that is huge. I mean, that's where your clothes will fit better. But we'll go into the list. Here. So 8 ways to gauge progress besides the scale. Number 1 would be your skin. When I see people who are unhealthy, not practicing good sleep habits, good self-care habits, good exercise habits, good nutrition habits, they're a dead ringer. Their face is usually bright red. Do you remember that about yourself, Josh?
Yeah.
Your face was always red. Have you noticed that it's not red anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you so glad?
Yeah.
Did you know that's why? Really? Yeah, I can always tell that. So, did you ever get any of the broken blood vessels on your face? No? It probably has a lot to do with age. If you're younger, you can escape that. But when you get older, boy howdy, years of abuse, those pop up on your face. But yeah, so redness in the face, rosacea, broken blood vessels, just an overall appearance of the skin to be almost like rough or thick. Have you noticed a difference in your skin, Josh? Yeah. So I always tell people that I said this on my Facebook Live. If you didn't know this already, a lot of things that you consume actually come out through your skin, which is your largest organ. Is that right? Do I want to say that? Yeah. Largest organ on your body, and alcohol is one of them. Have you ever been around somebody that's tied one on the night before, Josh, and they reek?
Yeah.
It's because you can only excrete alcohol a little bit through urine, vomit if they vomited, and it has to come through the skin. It's toxic. It's ethanol alcohol. They use it for jet fuel. It is poison. Not that I don't indulge in alcohol once in a while, but yeah, it comes out your skin. Another thing for me personally, sugar comes out my skin. If I consume processed sugar, I will wake up the next day with blemishes. And Josh, how many times have you seen me with a blemish on my face?
Very rarely.
Like, very rarely do I ever have a blemish on my face. So you really have to listen to your body. Like, look in the mirror once in a while. Look at your skin. Do you look healthy? You can definitely tell a lot through the skin. So right away, your skin is going to improve. And I've had people start on Melfit on a meal plan within a week tell me that they had chronic hives and itching, and that has gone away. So I mean, that is huge. The second way to gauge progress would be strength. So strength is huge. When you aren't working out, the number one indication of good health is going to be your muscle, okay? So it's more important, if you're listening to this and you're a cardio king or queen, it's not what you should be prioritizing. You should be prioritizing your strength. You should be strength training at least 3 days a week, okay? When you're older and things go south, what happens to most people is if they end up falling and breaking a hip, they'll generally pass away pretty shortly after that, because if they don't already have a good amount of muscle, then it's hard for the body to heal. And the older you get, the slower it takes to heal. When you're younger, it seems like it's almost like a sci-fi movie. Do you feel that way, Josh? Remember when you would get a cut when you were younger, it'd heal so fast?
Yeah.
Do you notice when you're older, it heals slower?
No.
Yeah, wait till you get till you're over 40. So strength training is huge. What happens when you strength train is for every bit of muscle, for every pound of muscle that you gain, your basal metabolic rate goes up, which in turn means you can eat more. If you don't have a lot of muscle, that means your basal metabolic rate is really low, and the chances of you ever getting extra calories from Coach Mel or being able to eat jasmine rice are pretty slim to none. So you should always focus on strength training first and then fill in the rest with walking. And you really don't need running. You don't need to run. If you look at your watch when you're running versus when you're walking, you'll be in the fat burning zone. When you're running, you'll be in the cardio zone. Well, everybody wants to be in the fat burning zone. So don't feel like you have to run to be healthier or to get in better shape, okay? So I think that strength training, not only will you look better, it'll help you in everyday life. I mean, if you're heading to Costco and they load your box up super heavy, you got to pull it out of the cart and then put it in the back of your car. Or if you're still buying bottled water, which you shouldn't, you have to lift that case of water. Or maybe you buy a 40-pound bag of dog food. Maybe you're caretaking a special needs child. Maybe you're caretaking somebody who needs help getting in and out of bed. Whatever it is, we all need our strength for something. I mean, pulling weeds, rolling out the garbage can, taking out the garbage. Like, we all don't want to be weak and have to constantly ask other people to help us, okay? So strength, the fact that I ask people how they're doing and they say, oh my gosh, I'm getting so much stronger. I remember when I first started with Melfit, I couldn't plank more than 10 seconds. Now I'm planking for a minute. Now I'm doing my push-ups on my toes. So That's progress. That's huge. Number 3 way to gauge progress besides the scale, energy. I always say if I could bottle the endorphins that I have after a workout, like I could sell it and we could all just be so happy. It it's that one saying, I regret that workout, said no one ever. It's so true because you go through all this trouble to make it happen, and you get all these people, hey guys, to help you make it happen. Hey guys, if you've got kids or a spouse, can you help me out? Mom or dad just wants to go downstairs for 25 minutes and get the workout. Can you guys just leave me alone for 25 minutes? And you go through all this trouble to make it happen. And then when you do make it happen, it's just like, you just feel so good. It's like, that stress reliever. You just your worries go away, and it just feels good to just sweat a little bit every day and move your body. So energy is huge. You're not going to have energy if you're eating processed foods. You're not going to have energy if you're not sleeping well because you're eating processed foods. You're not going to have energy if you're not sleeping well because you're polishing off a bottle of wine every night. You're not going to have energy if fitness and nutrition isn't in the forefront of your life. You're not going to have energy if you're not drinking enough water. So having energy every day is huge, unless you want to be this, person that's constantly caffeinated, which then you get those high crashes or highs and then lows. Then you need to actually rely on natural energy, which comes in the form of living a healthy lifestyle. Do you feel like you have more energy, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, than you used to? Yeah. So, number 4 is attitude. You'll hear me say this over and over. If you think it's going to suck, it's going to suck. If you don't think you can, you can't. You almost have to imagine, fake it before you make it, sell yourself as something that you're not. Maybe people will call it imposter syndrome. I don't know. I don't care. But you have to envision the person that you want to become and show up as that person every day until you become that person, okay? And the attitude is everything, Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I have to work out today, why not turn it into, you know what, I get to work out because I actually have my legs and my arms and I'm not ridden with cancer or some other disease. I don't have, so you got to take advantage of, of what you have instead of looking at everything as such a chore, oh my gosh, I have to go to the store. No, I get to go to the store. I have enough money in my bank account to purchase food, and I'm super excited about making this healthy food and learning this lifestyle, and I get to engage in this wonderful program that's going to change my life. So attitude is everything. When you start feeling better about yourself and you start looking better, you will definitely have a better attitude. And it's almost, the one thing I always try to tell people to do is celebrate. If you don't enjoy the journey, you'll never get to the destination. Celebrate every step of the way with, be happy as you're going along with every non-scale victory, because eventually you're going to get there, especially if I'm your coach, because I get results. And when you do get there, you're only going to want to move somewhere else, like challenge yourself more. But it's not going to be, when you finally get there, it's not going to be as big a deal as you think, because what's really going to matter is how you got there. Like, you're going to be there supposedly, and all you're going to think about is the journey that you went on. Wow, I can't believe I have a client, Kira. I just posted her before and after pictures yesterday. We've been on a 5-month journey. Wow, I can't believe I went through the Melfit 12-week boot camp, lost 26 pounds. Then went on to do the 6-week shred. Totally transformed my body. Lost that last little bit of body fat. Really looking toned. Now I'm on to the MelFit maintenance plan to work with Coach Mel and figure out how I can actually maintain this, because I've heard that's the hardest part. But wow, I mean, like, my attitude is just so great moving forward. This has just been such a great journey, and I'm so proud of myself because I shopped for this, I prepped for this, I checked in, I did the workouts. Like, and I always tell people, when you get there, you can almost get a little cocky. You're not surprised. I mean, when people tell you you look great, you're like, of course I look great. I did all the freaking work. I did everything I was supposed to. I can follow a plan. And it doesn't surprise you. Josh can attest for this, right? Josh, when you actually do the work, it doesn't surprise you, right? It's like, well, of course I lost 3.5 pounds. I ate all my food last week. So I just love to see somebody in every stage of their journey, especially people that were really riding the struggle bus. And I always tell people, I'm not a fair weather coach. I'm here for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And to have somebody come out in the end and just never give up, it's just awesome. So number 5, we always talk about this a lot, is sex drive. Let's just face it, when you don't have self-confidence, you don't have a good sex drive, you get a little bit more self-confidence, and that definitely improves. The more that you feel better about yourself and feel better in your own skin. And I hear that so much. Like, I just feel better in my own skin. I feel like I'm becoming the person that I think I am. That person hasn't looked back at me in the mirror in a while, but I'm starting to see that person again. So that is really, really huge. And why is your sex drive better? Because you have a better attitude, you have more energy, you have more strength, and your skin looks better, like all of the above. Number 6, ways to gauge progress besides the scale: sleep. If you're knocking off a bottle of wine a night, you're probably not sleeping very well, or the sleep that you get is not quality. If you've ever drank too much red wine and you wake up at like 3 in the morning, wine is made from grapes. Grapes are fruit. Fruit is sugar. We don't abuse fruit. I probably have half a cup of blueberries, half a banana, and a small apple every day. Like, if you consume too much fruit, it's too much fructose sugar, and it's going to keep you awake, and it's going to actually give you like almost like a caffeine effect. So also, if you're not eating enough, which a lot of people aren't, you're not going to sleep well. Your body temperature is going to go down a little bit. Your blood sugar is not going to be regulated. Basically, you're not going to sleep well because you're not well fed. You're basically hungry. So at MelFit, we eat 3 square meals, dessert, and a snack daily. And we just basically, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're trying to keep our blood sugar regulated, and we don't really want to get much past a 7. If your stomach is growling, you're probably gone a little bit too far. So somewhere between a 5 and a 7, and you can kind of space it out. It doesn't matter when you eat, it matters that you eat all of your food. But if you can space everything out about 3 to 4 hours, sometimes in the afternoon my window of eating gets smaller. Like, a lot of times I'll have my snack and I'll have my dinner like maybe an hour and a half or 2 later, and that's fine. Just listen to your body and see what you need. But the healthier I am, the better I sleep. Also, because what could disrupt your sleep is heartburn and indigestion, and that's what I was going to mention as one thing that I hear a lot from people, that their heartburn has gone away. So if you've got heartburn, you've got indigestion, you're not going to sleep well. I generally don't ever stuff. All right, so Number 7, ways to gauge progress. When I sign up a new client, I have them fill out a questionnaire, and I ask them, kind of like a health screening, like what medications are you on? And I tell you, there's people are on a lot of medication. Blood pressure, cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, anything you can imagine. So the best compliment ever for me from somebody is that they have got off of their blood pressure medication, their high cholesterol medication, their type 2 diabetes insulin, or any other medication that they were taking to, basically just mask and band-aid the problem, which is what Western medicine is doing. I believe in curing, not just, covering the problem. So that is huge. Nobody wants to be taking a bunch of pills every day that are unnecessary. I take some supplements, some probiotics and magnesium and things like that, but I don't want to take any more pills than I need or that my body needs. So that is absolutely huge for a client to say that they are off of a certain medication. And one thing I always tell them, if you want to stay here, you have to do what you did to get here, meaning you have to keep up the lifestyle, the strength training, the walking, the healthy eating, the whole foods, okay? The biggest one I would have to say, number 8, is that your digestion is better. I do have the Melfit Gut Flush if anybody's interested. It is phenomenal, and the reason that it was born is because of my own digestive issues. I'll often suggest the Melfit Gut Flush to people in the beginning, and I will tell you that if you are coming off of processed foods and you're switching to whole foods, just adding fruits and vegetables and more fiber can help you improve your digestive health. So a lot of times I'll see that on someone's questionnaire and I'll say, major roadblock, you will not lose weight until we get this taken care of. And then a couple weeks later, they'll check in with me and they'll say, you know what? I listened to your suggestion about the Melfit Gut Flush, but just switching over to the whole foods, I feel like this problem has corrected itself, and it definitely can. But again, that's something that you have to do for the rest of your life. You can't just expect to go through a 12-week challenge, get your workouts done, eat clean, and then when the challenge gets over, you go back to your old ways. And then if that's the case, then you're gonna get your blood pressure meds back, you're going to get your poor sleep back, you're going to get your lack of sex drive back, you're going to get your poor attitude back, you're going to get your low energy back, you're going to get your weak body back, no strength, and you're going to get your poor skin back. So just know that it's not just for a minute, it's every day. But the digestion is huge. You should eliminate 1 to 2 times a day. And I always tell people, really, if you remember when you were little, you would eat dinner and half hour later or 20 minutes later, you'd have to go to the bathroom. That's how we should all be. Why have our digestive systems slowed over the years? What has changed? What's changed is the food. You pick something up and it used to be an apple, but now in 2022 it's an apple and 15 ingredients that nobody can even define what it is. So that's the problem with most foods, is it's not that food anymore. It's in an altered state. It's morphed into something that's going to satisfy the palate of Americans, i.e. being super sweet or super salty, and have a long shelf life, which is super important for the food companies because the less they waste, the more they make. And it just comes down to a money game. And the more of that you put in your body, the worse all of these 8 things is going to be for you. So if you can think about what are you doing now? Are you making most of your own meals and snacks? I can honestly say that I prepare all of my meals, all of my snacks, all of my beverages. Like, I have a latte every day. I have an espresso machine. I'll do like a Melfit Mexican hot chocolate, or a Melfit golden milk latte, or a Melfit beetroot latte, or I'll have a kombucha or a watermelon cooler. And I really do look forward to the one free day a week that I get. And that generally really isn't that bad either. A lot of times I'll get a sushi roll, which we do have rice on Melfit. We are gluten free. If you are on the Melfit 6-week shred, you've probably been able to have rice. If you are on a weight loss plan, the rice comes later, so do be patient with that. But some people get rice if they get extra calories. But I look forward to a little bit of variety on my free day. But I know that if it's too crazy, then all of these 8 things that are going really well for me, they're all going to come back. So it's like constant work and constant maintenance to keep it up. We'll use the lawn care analogy for Josh. Like, you could have a beautiful lawn today, but if you don't keep up on the weeds, keep it mowed, fertilize it, thatch it, do all the things that you need to do, it's not going to look as good. So if you're super excited about where you're at and how you're feeling, you have to get into the mindset of, we're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. You might as well A, have fun, B, make awesome food, and C, accept that this is your lifestyle. It's not, oh, I can't wait for this to go get over so I can go back to the store and buy my bags of chips and my donuts and my Fig Newtons and all that. Like, you have to figure out a way to enjoy it. And I know exercise is hard, where people are like, I just don't love to exercise. Well, people are also that way with food, or they will say, I just don't love supposed healthy food. But when I get a hold of things, my hope is that I have morphed it into a flavorful, healthier version of what you're used to. That's why I always say replace, don't remove. So we're still going to have cookies, but we're going to use almond flour and coconut flour instead of white flour. We're still going to eat cookies, but we're going to use dairy-free chocolate chips. We're going to have pizza, but we're not going to use white flour. We're going to use almond flour. We're going to make it out of sweet potatoes. So just all of those changes really, really add up. So if you can, the next time you're stuck, when you weigh yourself, if you can realize that there are so many reasons why the scale can fluctuate here and there, and use it as a gauge, yes, but don't let it be your ride or die. Like, don't get up in the morning and think, oh my gosh, like, I'm up 2 pounds. Like, I might as well just eat my way back home, like, you've got to really just get a grip on it and think, okay, that's right. I listened to that podcast with Coach Mel, and, there's a lot of reasons why my weight could be up right now. I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, because I know that I'm feeling there's 8 reasons right here on the paper why I should continue. I'm not going to let the 9th reason, which is the scale, be the straw that broke the camel's back. So, yeah, I think it takes people a long time, and it's 2022 and people are still just so obsessed about the scale. But when you do get down to really close to your goal weight, you have to change your mindset, because you're not going to see the big numbers like you did on the 12-week boot camp, which is like 20 to 37 pounds. You're getting down to the wire where it's a matter of, did she lose 3% body fat, and did she lose, some inches, and did she gain muscle? Does her body look better? Does she look better in clothes? Do her clothes fit better? So I think it's really hard for people coming off a boot camp to go to the shred because they're still in that scale mindset, and the shred will maybe bring you 4 pounds and maybe 2 inches, and people look at that as a failure. But if you look at the pictures, they're stronger. I mean, there's so many reasons why they should not throw in the towel. And also, just doing a challenge kind of gives you that discipline. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of 8 ways to gauge progress besides the scale. If you liked the show, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you can, we'd love it if you would write a review. And we will see you guys on the next MelFit podcast. Thanks for joining us today. It's been amazing connecting, inspiring, and motivating you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.